If you want to be notified when Breakfast Club videos go up, remember to subscribe and click the bell.
You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Hey guys, Nathan Brandon Masters, Breakfast Club Wednesdays. How you guys doing? I'm not even gonna go into anything here. What I'm going to do is post this headline here, this headline right here, and I want you to see if you can tell me what's wrong with this headline. Just look at it for a second. Tell me what's wrong with it. I'll wait. You see it? Do you see it? So, yeah. ZoeQuinn. Comic books. Now, you know, a little bit ago I did a video right here on this channel about how SJWs, and yes, I'm going to use the term SJWs. We haven't done the SJW thing in a long time. So this is what I get for slacking. But I mentioned SJWs getting involved in comic books. And people were kind of like, you know, some people were like, yeah, that's happening. We know. Other people were like, nah, that's not really a thing. ZoeQuinn herself is writing a comic book for DC Comics. Now, granted, it's for the Vertigo line, but that's still kind of like, you know, yes, I'm glad it's not DC Comics proper, but at the same time, Vertigo had some cool shit. Vertigo was cool. That had Sandman, had stuff like that. No Shade the Changing Man was over there. Never quite understood Shade the Changing Man, but I did like the fact that it was still around. That's one of those things that I never really read, but it always looked like it had awesome stuff going on, and I just like the fact it's still around. Hellblazer, that's another one. I like the character, never really into the book, but I definitely like the Constantine character. The book that I did read, the character that I do love is Sandman. I read 2 of those graphic novels, and it was just amazing. I read some of Preacher. I wasn't a big fan of that, but Sandman, definitely a fan. If you haven't read A Doll's House and A Game of You, you want to get those graphic novels. Those are the ones that I read. Those are the ones that I know for sure are awesome and batshit crazy in their own right, but definitely awesome. Pick those up. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't say that this information was a few days to probably a week old by now, but something else happened in around that same time period.
I'm glad I get back to reporting on the gaming world, specifically tabletop games. Unfortunately, today's video is another one of anger. People are pissed. I have attended GenCon a few times. Last year, you can't see it, but my 50th anniversary, it's right up there, 50th anniversary tag was a big deal. It was the 50th anniversary of GenCon last year. But you'll notice there is another member that is not just attending, is a guest of honor at this year's GenCon. Now, hold on. You're never going to guess. I assume you probably read the title, but there we have it. Anita Sarkeesian is an award-winning film critic and creator of executive director of Feminist Frequency. Nobody cares about anymore, by the way. Her videos get like a few thousand views, if that. She's been a panelist, blah, blah, blah. And she's also, last time she was on a panel, by the way, she did this.
If you Google my name on YouTube, you get shitheads like this dude who are making these dumbass videos that just say the same shit over and over again. It's like, I hate to give you attention because you're a garbage human, making endless videos that just go after every feminist over and over and over again, I think is...
Which would be against any kind of code of conduct that I could imagine.
Now, I'll say this much. ZoeQuinn might actually be a geek girl. She might truly be into games and comics and all that stuff. I don't know her that well. I only know about the craziness that she's done and the very shady stuff that she's been involved with. But this is everyone's favorite fake gamer, fake geek girl, Anita Sarkeesian. And what the fuck is she doing at GenCon? Now, for those who don't know, GenCon is a gaming convention, a sci-fi fantasy gaming convention. And from what I understand, there's a heavy leaning toward tabletop and role-playing games. But there's no shortage of electronic and video game geeks there as well. And the question becomes, why invite a person like this? A person that you know is completely antagonistic toward this group of people. And you can excuse it all you want. You can say, oh, well, that group of people, they're just all sexist, racist white guys. Which is ridiculous because when I used to play role-playing games back in college, my whole group were black. We were all black. And we had one white dude that we would play with every once in a while. And other than that, the rest of us, we were just a group of black guys that played role-playing games. Now, I'll acknowledge that the person that introduced me to role-playing games was a white dude. But when I went to college, one of the first people I met playing role-playing games was a black guy. He was a black GM who was rolling up. I saw him at a table rolling up. I think he was rolling up characters on the Palladium system, or was that Heroes Unlimited? Well, Heroes Unlimited was Palladium as well. But if you're into gaming and stuff like that, I'd advise you to check out that video by The Quartering. I'll put a link in the description so you can see that. It's very interesting. I actually messaged him today. He broke a story about Stan Lee possibly being abused. There's possibly being an elder abuse situation happening there, and I'm curious as to whether he's going to get the credit for breaking that story or not, because he was the first person to kind of mention that, and then a big article came out about it today. But other than that, it's very interesting to see all of these kind of old school hobbies and things going down this path where they're actually playing to this group of people that don't like these hobbies. They really don't like these hobbies. In Sarkeesian's case, we know she doesn't like these hobbies. She's admitted she doesn't like video games. And I can't begin to imagine Anita Sarkeesian playing a role-playing game being put into any kind of fantasy situation. I couldn't even begin to imagine how badly that would go. I mean, how's that going to work? Where are you going to slay a dragon because it used the wrong gender pronouns? This is a person so full of toxicity, she would give System of a Down a run for their money. And I'm only doing this video just to say I told you so. That's my main goal. It's just to point out, hey, I told you so. Told you this was going to happen, and it's happening. And before you get into the whole, oh, you just don't want women involved, shut up. Women have been involved in this stuff long before SJWs. Part of the SJW argument is ignoring the women, people of color, and all the other people that they claim aren't involved in these things. You have to ignore them to make the claim that they're not involved. And the only way we could get involved is if these SJWs came in and just help us force our way in. I actually have a role-playing game. I literally wrote a role-playing game. It's called Blastback. It's on Amazon right now. I do comic books, movies. You guys know that. Having her here is pure propaganda. This is pure, actually all of this, the ZoeQuinn thing, as well as this Anita Sarkeesian thing. these are two of the most toxic people you could possibly get to do anything for any company anywhere. It boggles my mind that any company would allow them to just come in. It boggles my mind that DC Comics would let ZoeQuinn do anything for their company, and it boggles my mind that GenCon would invite Anita Sarkeesian and have her be a special guest, an honored guest. How? Why? Again, knowing that most of the fans there, if they know her, don't want her there. Not, let me be clear, not because she's a woman, but because she's an asshole. And frankly, I could say the same for ZoeQuinn. So with that, guys, you take it easy. Nathan Brendan Masters. Hasta.